It's my shit right here. Say wait, this my shit right here. Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. The video we're focusing on today is, if you know about Ella Baker, let me know in the comments. We're gonna get right into it. I appreciate the people joining my channel. Shout out to the new people that join and the people who keep returning. Shout out to y'all. Y'all know me, I'm old school. I'll be on iHeartRadio. Like, bro, you Joe Soto be having that list, but today, Lady Ray, about that action. Okay. So when I was researching Ella Baker, I learned some things I never learned before, as when you're seeking for knowledge. If I go, here you go. And I found out that Big Frida has a whole song called Ella Baker. I never knew that. Did y'all know that? Let me know in the comments if y'all knew that. I didn't. I didn't know when I was looking for Ella Baker, I would find Big Frida. I didn't know. Shout out to Big Frida. Shout out to Big Frida doing the damn thing every time, every every song. Okay, look. So that's how we're gonna start it off. A song, but I can't probably play the full song, but to get the gist. Oh, Glorilla got a new video coming out, 1010. What you know about me? Sexy Red. Uh-oh, she features Sexy Red. Say what you want about Sexy Red. I like Sexy Red. I'm hip hop all day and all. I hear good when I hear something, I'm very broad. I love music is a very broad thing. Different things. Y'all not ready for that conversation, and that's okay. And that's okay. I'm telling you, you look up Ella Baker and Big Frida will pop up. They're like, where? Okay, maybe it's taking a little bit. I'm gonna just type it in. No, I got to type it in. No, okay. Big Frida. Ella Baker, Ella Baker, Ella. Come on. Am I subscribed to Big Frida? And be like, Ella Baker, Ella Baker, Ella Baker. I've been in my commenting era when we started from the beginning. Have y'all ever heard of this song before? Add this to your playlist. Y'all ain't got nothing on your playlist. No how. Out here dancing out here. It's not even Friday. It's not even Friday. Join me as we learn about Ella Baker. Ella Baker was born December 13th, 1903. Passed away on her birthday in 1986 at the age of 83 in New York. She has siblings, a spouse. She was part of the civil rights movement. And when I was researching her, saying similar things. She was the godmother of civil rights, of the civil rights movement, or she was the mother of the civil rights movement. A lot of people give her the credit when it comes to the civil rights movement and how she helped push it. So you don't really hear about her. You don't hear about her at all, to be exact. You have to kind of seek and dig deep in. So we're gonna learn about her a little bit, and let me know in the comments what you know about her, what things you think we should tap more into that she produced while she was here on this earth with us. Still is. I started hearing more about her because, I did the video about Julian Bond and her name kept popping up. And so I was like, I'm gonna learn a little bit more about her. And she was like a pioneer, hidden in the shadows, doing the groundwork, talking to the people face to face, head on about real issues that people need. And people were listening to her. She had power, she had respect. And I think she's worth looking into. And yeah, let's go. Let's get it. So, a little bit about her. This is by snccdigital.org. Raised in Littleton, North Carolina, there would not have been a SNCC without Ella Baker. While serving as executive secretary for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, she organized the founding conference of SNCC held at Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, during the Easter weekend of 1960. She had immediately recognized the potential of the students involved in the sit-in movement and wanted to bring leaders of the movement together to meet one another and to consider future work. Miss Baker, as the students usually called her, persuaded Martin Luther King to put up the $800 needed to hold the conference. Reverend King hoped they would become an SCLC student wing. Ella Baker, however, encouraged the students to think about forming their own organization. Addressing the conference, Reverend King asked the students to commit to nonviolence as a way of life. But for most in attendance, nonviolence was simply an effective tactic. Speaking to the conference, Ella Baker told the students that their struggle was much bigger than a hamburger or even a giant sized Coke. In presenting this bigger picture and encouraging them to form their own organization, Ella Baker displayed a talent she had been employing for more than 2 decades, assisting people to empower themselves. The students decided to form their own organization, SNCC, and with the formation of SNCC, she encouraged the new organization to organize from the bottom up. I saw this quick thing. I saw this thing by Issa Rae. Let's see if it's on the video before I fuck it up. Okay, I saw it today, but that just reminded me of something. I'll dive in. Hold on. Y'all are going on this journey with me. We're on it together, right? Let me cook. Let them cook. Let them cook. Okay, all right. A black woman raised as white in that's a whole nother story. Okay, Issa Rae, work time. I see they catch what I'm saying. Yeah, I was okay. So basically, before we go into this, she was basically saying a lot of people like to work their way up when you should be working side by side. You shouldn't be wanting to work with the next big. You should be wanting to work with people who want to be the next big. You know what I mean? Not kind of like piggyback off someone else's just to get the recognition. Like, oh, this person is vouching for me. It's kind of like, why don't you just keep working with the people around you right now? That's what the people you aspire and look to did. They had to do it themselves. They had to believe in themselves, and then other people start believing in them. Okay, listen now, but here's what she says. What do y'all think in the comments? Y'all let me know how you feel about that.
A tendency to try to like when we network up, and it really is about networking across, like who's next to you, who's struggling, who's in the trenches with you, who's just as hungry as you are, and those are the people that you need to build with. It's not about like finding, hitting up, like calling Tyler Perry, like how can I work with you, calling Ava to be like how can I be on. It's about calling your college mate. It's about calling your coworker and saying, hey, you trying to do this, I'm trying to do this project. And literally every project that I've done, every friend of mine has been in some way, shape, or form because I needed them, because they were just down. They, they're not even part of the industry in many cases, just to help me make it work. And I would do the same for them in a heartbeat. In creating the first episode of ABG, of Awkward Black Girl, like I had to pull so many resources together, and I had to hit up, a couple of random people just to try to put this story together. And then even in the brokenness of not having an editor and editing it myself, trying to tell the story because I couldn't afford to get this shot that I wanted or go to this location that I wanted. And piecing that together, there's so much creativity in brokenness. Like brokenness will have you making it work.
That's when I first found out about Issa Rae. It was Awkward Black Girl. No, was it? It was either that or Insecure, and then it led me to Awkward. I think let me shut up. All right, but look, horizontal networking. What did Issa Rae mean by networking across? So remember that. Keep that in the back of your dome. Put that in your journal. Networking across. Whatever that means for you, do it. All right. But that reminded me because back to Ella Baker. Learning about her showed me how like she wanted to push other people with the abilities she knew they had within themselves. Like we look at the greats, the goats, call people, yeah, the greatest of all, da da da. But she wasn't looking to be that big one. Everybody has that greatness in them. And when you remind people of that, people come to you because you have wisdom and knowledge. You have faith in the next. A lot of times, what we've seen, especially in hip hop, is what I can relate it to. It's all this like back and forth of who's the youngest in the game, the oldest. If you old, then like you not relevant to hip hop. If you young, you don't know shit about hip hop. It's always been that great divide. And there's only a few like Wallow, like $1 million worth of game. They show homage, like they're like older people in the game. not just older people, but they've been in the game for a long time to know how to talk to the next generation, because they're kind of like us. They're our big whatever. Your parents, they're damn near like your big bro, your big sis, because they had to go through their own thing too. They had to break some type of generational curse for us to even think we had the possibility. I mean, look at the Tupacs and whatnot. They had to actually speak out in order for people to be like, no, we really can do this. The problem is everybody right now in hip hop is looking to be the best, the biggest, and no one's trying to, besides like the Lil Russells and maybe some few in the game like Jada Kiss, they try and give back to the community, but that's not what's being pushed in hip hop. People are like, get the money, get the this, the that. It's to show off. It's not about the art itself. But I'm just telling you, it relates because there's not a lot of people in the game like Ella Baker in hip hop or in life now that people can look to remind them they have the abilities to change the world themselves. But Ella Baker is needed in like times like these where anytime an election is coming up to help inform people, because the media gonna put out whatever the media want. And it's up to you to really decipher between the what's given to you and what's happening and what you can do to still make change to make it happen. So I feel like we lack a lot of leaders. We have a lot of influencers. We have a lot of celebrities. We have a lot of politicians and all that. But we don't have a lot of people like leading other people, like the Al Sharptons and whatnot. But there's not enough. There's not enough. But if you want to see the change, they say be the change. So that's why we're here honoring Ella Baker, remind people the light and abilities within themselves. You can make change. And so with that being said, we're gonna go to a video. I feel like a fucking teacher. Now we're about to watch a video. No, but let me know in the comments how you feel. We're about to start with the vids with Black History in 2 minutes or so. The mother of the civil rights movement.
What do two of the most important civil rights organizations have in common? Meet Ella Baker, the brilliant Black woman whose ideas and careful grassroots organizing helped give birth to Dr. King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference and to the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. For this reason, Ella Baker is reverentially known as the mother of the civil rights movement. Born in Virginia in 1903, Ella Baker was educated at Shaw University before moving to New York City in 1927. By 1930, she'd started organizing. Ella Baker joined the NAACP in 1940 and helped young leaders find their voice and their leadership capacity. And one of those people was Rosa Parks, someone we all know. Ella Baker was also recruited by Martin Luther King to help run the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was helping to build the civil rights movement. Then in 1960, a group of Black college students were denied service at Woolworth's segregated lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. In an act of nonviolent protest, the students refused to leave, inspiring similar sit-ins across the South. Ella Baker left SCLC to help a group of young people form the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I remember Miss Baker saying, many of you are from some of the quote unquote best schools in the country. So when you go into rural areas, don't go in there thinking you're going to lead the people. Find out what the people want. When you heard Ella Baker speak, you were ready to get out there. She really wanted us to stand up and speak out. And she gave you the energy to push. You can lead, you can be somebody, you can do something. More interested in affecting change than public acclaim or financial reward, Baker inspired a generation of young Americans to risk their lives to fight racism, sexism, and white supremacy. Simply put, the mother of the civil rights movement had many children, and we are her heirs.
I like this video, Cornell West, but first we're gonna hear from Ella Baker herself.
and sisters in the struggle for human dignity and freedom. I am here to represent the struggle that has gone on for 300 or more years, a struggle to be recognized as citizens in a country in which we were born. I have had about 40 or 50 years of struggle, ever since a little boy on the streets of Norfolk called me a nigger. I struck him back, and then I had to learn that hitting back with my fist one individual was not enough. It takes organization. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done. It can't, a nice gathering like today is not enough. You have to go back and reach out to your neighbors who don't speak to you. And you have to reach out to your friends who think they are making it good and get them to understand that they, as well as you and I, cannot be free in America or anywhere else where there is capitalism and imperialism until we can get people to recognize that they themselves have to make the struggle and have to make the fight for freedom every day, in the year, every year, until they win it. Thank you.
So one thing that was very interesting in your book is you go through Frederick Douglass and W.E. Du Bois and Dr. King, and then we get to Ella Baker. And I'm like, why her?
Oh, she's one of the greatest. Ella is one of the greatest. There is no civil rights movement without the example, the witness of Ella Baker. She's the executive director of Martin King's organization. She's executive director of SNCC, the young people who broke away from Martin. Ella's love for people, for black people, working people, poor people, and her deep suspicions of messianic modes of leadership, the charismatic man that people submit to and defer to. She's a Democrat all the way down. She wants all the voices to be heard. And in some ways, she's connected to Occupy, that I point out in leaderless and leaderful at the same time.
Don't we need leaders? The thing about Ella is, I mean, SNCC didn't, well, it sort of disintegrated eventually, and it's not like you can go and see fantastic speeches that Ella made. She doesn't feel like a prophet.
Yeah, because
I understand. It's not effective anymore if you don't have a leader.
No, I think that people lead in a lot of different ways. You can lead quietly by example, and that's what she did. We would have talked to giants like Bob Moses, still alive, or if we could talk to Stokely Carmichael or Diane Nash, they would say Ella was one of the great leaders, because you can see by example, she was someone who both inspired you, role of leadership, right? Provided guidance by her actions and in conversation. But she's like a jazz musician, that she's antiphonal, it's a call and response. She's in conversation. She's not pontificating from above. She's having conversation on a horizontal level. And that's genuine leadership. But it's a different kind of leadership than Martin being charismatic and out there. But for me, there is no Martin King's movement without an Ella Baker's intelligence, imagination, and courageous witness.
What lessons could President Obama learn by reading these biographies, Barbara Ransby, of two political activists, of Ella Baker and Islanda Essie Robeson?
Well, when you ask that question, we assume that some of the policies that President Obama has implemented, that many of us on the left would disagree with, are out of lack of awareness. I don't think they are, actually. I think he knows the history of Ella Baker, and I'm sure he knows the history of Paul Robeson, if not Islander Robeson. I think the lessons for the rest of us are really to invest in the kind of networking, relationship building, and solidarity work that defined Islander Robeson's career. That is not going to be the heads of state who are going to forge a different vision of the world, but rather people who are building organizations and are stretching and making global connections independent of the nation states where our citizenship lies. So I think in terms of Ella Baker's lessons, her lessons are also about building grassroots movements and not placing so much emphasis and faith and hope in a single charismatic leader. And I think many people have looked to Barack Obama as a savior. First Black president, spoke out against the war with us back when it was in the Iraqi war, and is now, of course, carrying out targeted assassinations and drone attacks. And, it breaks my heart. But I don't think it's for the absence of historical knowledge. And I do hope in this second term we will see much of the knowledge and insight that I think Obama has about history and about what it means to try to stand on the right side of history, even when it's difficult. I hope that will come to the fore.
Barbara Ransby, author of the new book.
That wraps up the video. Let me know in the comments what you remember about Ella Baker. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Awesome. Yes, my shit right here. So I just my shit right here.